Don't get me wrong, I love an intense video game just as much as anyone else, but sometimes you just gotta sit back and play something relaxing. Sometimes you just gotta take a short hike. A Short Hike is a game developed by Adam Robinson Yu and released on PC in 2019. The game is an open world exploration game where the player is tasked with reaching the summit of a mountain to get cell phone reception. And this simple little indie game will have you flying, climbing, and doing all sorts of things to hit your goal of reaching the mountaintop. You play as Claire in this game, which is a navy bluebird, and you'll meet different characters along the way, learn new mechanics, and overall just have a charming time. The game started development in December 2018, since the dev wanted to take a break from another game he was working on. What influenced him to make this game was from playing games like The Frog Detective, The Haunted Island, realizing that short games can be successful with a short hike only being around 2 hours long. He later shared a prototype of a short hike on Twitter, rendering the game's world using the big crunchy pixels and simple models, which allowed him for more freedom, and the game's color palette was inspired by photos of the Canadian shield in autumn, since the dev is Canadian, with the game's soundtrack being inspired by the Studio Ghibli composer Joe Hisaishi, and the Animal Crossing, New Leaf, and Firewatch soundtracks. And this game's soundtrack is actually really cool how it works, with the game first being released for subscribers for the Humble Monthly program on April 5th, 2019, and later as a standalone game for PC on July 30th, 2019. From the success of the release, it then got a Nintendo Switch release on August 18th, 2020, and then getting a PlayStation and Xbox release on November 16th, 2021. The game also got a limited physical release and collector's edition for Nintendo Switch via Super Rare Games on August 25th, 2022. And like I said, the plot is you as Claire, a young bird who spends her days off by traveling to Hawk Peak Provincia Park. So what I want to do is play this game and fully 100% it, and just show how charming and amazing this game is. There's no structure to the gameplay. I didn't plan where I'm gonna go. It's just raw gameplay with my commentary telling about this game and yeah, why I like it. Most of y'all watching probably already know about this game since it's a big indie hit, and if you don't know, well then, enjoy. The game starts with a car driving through the countryside. The driver speaks.
I never get tired of this view. Claire, you're gonna have a great time here this summer. I think it'll be good to get away from the city and take a break from everything else going on. Are you still awake?
Maybe.
Hold on a little longer. We're almost at the ferry.
And after being dropped off at the ferry by our mom, we arrive at our destination. We wake up, open the door, and the game begins. We walk over to another bird sitting by the campfire and talk. This is our Aunt May. She asks where we've been all day, and we say we just woke up from a nap. And we say we've been waiting all day for a call. And our aunt says how there's no cell phone reception out here, but we might be able to get reception at Hawk Peak. And how it's not that far, even she's made the trek. But Claire's saying how she's been meaning to do it, and she just hasn't gotten around to it yet. And how I guess today is the day. Just take the White Beach Trail and head north at the fork, and just follow the signs for Hawk Peak. Talking to them again, they go more in depth with why we're here and other things. I don't want this to drag on, but this whole conversation is really great, but I don't want to waste y'all's time and read all this since y'all ain't trying to hear all that. With her saying how getting to the top is quite a hike, but their family has been doing it for generations, and how the hot springs at the peak create these amazing updrafts, and how the feeling flying up there is incredible. But isn't it kind of dangerous? Not really. It'll be no problem for you. Aunt May then asks for what kind of call are we waiting for, and how the call is the thing. Don't worry about it, dear. I'm sure it'll all work out fine, I think. And she says how a nice hike will help take our mind off it, with Claire saying how it's nice out here since she's from the city. And the city is pretty good too, though. It's got cool events, great food, and also cell phone reception. And Aunt May mentions how the park will get reception soon because they're building a new radio tower. And the last thing is when you talk to her again, she says how it's so lovely here and she could sit here all day and will. Nice fourth wall break. And so after talking with her, we now know our mission. Get to the top of Hawk Peak to get cell phone reception to receive an important phone call. And along the way, we meet, talk, and help others. With our first trail sign reading, White Coast Trail and Ranger's Cabin behind us. Walking up to the smaller bird, we can talk. Talking to this bird, he's the first tutorial character, just simply and clearly telling you the controls. Saying, did you know you can hold A while running to glide through the air? Talking to them again after that, Claire asks, wait, how do I glide again? You hold A while running, dummy. Cool. Just making sure you haven't forgotten. And asking again, this time he yells in all caps how to glide. W rage bait from Claire. Asking again, he's getting even more mad. Hold A to glide. Okay, I promise I won't forget. And asking one last time, the kid just crashes out. No! No more! And so after that, we know one thing for sure. How to glide. and the controls of this game are very simple, with jump, glide, and yeah, that's really it. More controls do get announced later though. This game can be played on keyboard, but is best and most comfortable on a controller. Walking a little forward, we find a little bird. Talking, she says she wants 15 shells. We ask why, but she says it's a secret and to keep an eye out for them. Shells can be randomly found, and you can find one going along the beach. You can also go back to the cabin and get one. And then going along the beach, we pick up a stick, and then the music sets in. Running into a new guy. We talk with him and he asks if we're lost and directionless. So he gives us a compass to always see where north is and so we don't get lost on the hike. We also find treasure chests, which contain money. We also find a little frog building a sandcastle. We ask him if we can borrow his shovel, so he says no unless we get another shovel, saying how we can get him a smaller shovel made for sandcastles, and he doesn't believe that that's real until he sees it. Brody might have been dropped as a kid. So after this, we have a few things to do. Reach the top, collect shells, get the shovel. And that's the point. The game wants you interacting with people, talking, and building off the world to reach your goal. Instead of a tutorial, the game has you walk, and the order of the people you talk to is your tutorial. It's how you figure out what order and what items you need to reach this goal of yours. Walking down the beach a little more, we see a set of climbing walls. We're talking to them, they ask if we want to join their club, which the little guy on the wall takes offense to, since I guess this club is very serious and has hundreds of members spanning 35 countries worldwide. Yeah, sure. But nevertheless, we joined the club, because why not? With us being the third member, or to the squirrel, just another drop in the hundreds worldwide. Really seems like a great little club you got here. But after that, we get told we need something called a golden feather. And since we don't have one, we are told to take a little walk to the visitor center and buy one from the ranger, which goes by the name Ranger John. Talking to John, he tells us he sells feathers for 40 coins. He also sells pork merch in the form of hats for 100 coins, but we'll get back to that later. Now at this point, I didn't have enough, but luckily a treasure chest was right over this hill, so we good. So now we can buy a golden feather and are told what they do. Using one allows you to double jump, and the more you have, the higher you can jump and gain air. This also makes the shirt red, with it turning blue when we no longer have any golden feathers to use. And now we can head back to the climbing wall, where we learn golden feathers have another use. They let you climb walls, and the stamina in the feather will slowly drain the more we climb. So yeah, nothing too crazy, but very, very helpful. All we have to do is push against the wall and press A and we're good. And the challenge we're given is to climb both these walls, which all we have to do is climb the little one and then from there jump to the bigger one from the little one. Not really much of a climb, but they don't seem to care. Once at the top, we are congratulated and told that we'll see them at the top of Hawk Peak, since they're heading that way as well. And now that we have our golden feathers, we can help out that kid with the shovel. Going over the little beach house, all we have to do is get on the roof, walk to the left, and boom, the little shovel is right there. Taking it back to him, he accepts it and trades it for the bigger shovel. We can now use the shovel by pressing Y, and now we can dig. Starting with those holes in the ground, there's one right here by us. We can also use the shovel for something else that we'll find out later. But digging on it, we get money. And also, now when you walk away from the sandcastle and come back, it gets bigger. With him saying how he's making a sand city and he ran for mayor, only for the votes to come in, and he got third place, and it's fine since he got a spot on the council of the sand city. You know, normal sandcastle stuff. With him, we walk away and come back, and a golden feather is at the top of one of the sandcastles, with it now being a sand province. With him now saying he's going to take over the city if he wins, since they didn't elect him last time. Oh, and also free candy for all. Honestly, W plot, this kid's going places. But now that we've done that with our 2 feathers, a shovel, and our compass in hand, we can begin our short hike. Now how this is going to work is we'll be doing everything this game has to offer, 100%ing the game, then going to the top and saving that for last. Some achievements you need to be at the top to do, but we'll get to those later. So with that, there is no order. I'm just going to be exploring, and whatever comes up, we do. Because that shows how good this game is and how things just fall into your lap when you're just playing it. Which is one thing I like about this game. It always gives you something to do, but you don't feel forced to do it. You actually want to do it. So starting on the hike, we run into a fox. They explain what golden feathers do, and with Claire saying how her aunt says this hike is just a short hike away. Oh my gosh, she said it, oh my god. They say they want to get to Hawk Peak to get photos with us, saying how if we both get up there, we should get a photo. More on this later. Continuing our walk, we run into another sign. Blackwood Trail, Hawk Peak Trail, Visitor Center, and White Beach Trail. But just to our right, there is a rabbit by the name of Sue, Talking to her, she tells us that she's on her way to run a marathon, but she can't since she lost her lucky headband and needs to find it since it's been with her for every race and she doesn't race without it. She says she lost it somewhere in Blackwood Forest and that it's a red headband. She also tells us that if we find it, she'll give us a pair of running shoes since she just got sponsored by a company and has like 10 pairs. Heading into Blackwood Forest, we can collect a few things, and we also run into a turtle by the name of Taylor the Turtle. Looking at him, we notice he's wearing a red headband. Asking where he got it from, it's actually just his, and it's just a coincidence. But he asks why we stopped him to ask that, so we explain the story of the rabbit to Taylor. And it turns out he's actually a fan of Sue, and since he is a fan of Sue and they'll both be racing in the same race, he gives us the headband, and he says maybe she won't be able to tell it's not the original, but hopefully it helps. We get the headband and take it back to Sue, with her immediately saying this isn't the original headband, since the sweat stains aren't in the right place. Bro, what the ew! But we explain it's from Taylor the Turtle, who is apparently a regional champion, and the headband must be quadruple lucky from that. So she accepts it and gives us the running shoes, which by holding X, we can now run, and it uses up the stamina of the golden feather. So it's like the climbing thing. Now after that, if we talk to her again, she has a change of heart, with us asking if the headband is really luck. And that it's not luck, it's just Sue is a good runner. And Sue agrees with us and says she's gonna do the race without it and gives us the headband. So now we got this sweet headband to wear. Walking through the forest, we can run into Taylor again and tell him we gave her the headband and all went well. And he says we can keep the headband since it doesn't matter and he can't wait to race Sue. Walking a bit forward, we run to a lighthouse, and one cool thing is if we go to the end, we can see our Aunt May and shout at her, telling her how the hike is going so far, and she tells us she's making curry for dinner. Just more fun dialogue, which this game is great at. Now this sign with Meteor Lake Overlook, Hawk Peak Trail, and Blackwood Trail on it, if we take the way to Meteor Lake, there's some very important stuff over here. Walking across this bridge, and going around to the steps to get down to the lake, we run into some racers doing the marathon. And going down to the lake, we find another shell and a frog sunning on the beach, daydreaming about eating breakfast food, like cinnamon waffles. And with this character, the dev said that this is a self-insert into the game, which is funny. There's also a beach ball and these little floating structures to climb on. Then we can talk to this walrus called Bill the Walrus. He's very important because he teaches us how to fish. All you gotta do is press B to throw in the line, wait until something bites, and then spam B. The fishing in this game is very simple, but it's still super fun and doesn't get old. But fishing in this game is actually very important since you can get money off this and an achievement. After Bill teaches us, he gives us the fishing rod so that we can continue fishing. And now what to do with the fish? Well, just over the hill by the lake is a boat with a pelican on it. Talking to him, we figure out he's the one we sell our fish to. He will give us money for a new or rare fish and bait for fish we've already sold him, which bait can be used to catch fish faster, obviously. And after we sell him 3 fish, he gives us a fish journal, which shows fish we need to catch, and once we catch all of them, we get an achievement. We also learn about all the different fish variants: regular fish, big fish, special variants, and albino. And fishing in different spots gives, well, different fish. Now that we can make money, we can head back to Ranger John and buy more golden feathers off him. You can only buy 1 feather off him before he says he's out of stock because a boy came by earlier and bought most of the stock, so we'll have to find more elsewhere. But there's one thing left you can buy from him, and that's a park hat for 100 coins. So now we have another hat, and we got the last golden feather. Right under the bridge is a goat asking us for the time, since he lost his watch, and if we find it, to please not sell it on the internet and return it to him. So we agree. Next person I came across was back in the forest where Taylor was. It's this cat in a little campsite with a tent. Talking to him, we scare him, and he thinks we are affiliated with the park, and his campsite doesn't have a permit because he lost it. After he freaks out, he bribes us and gives us some bait. And then we let him know we aren't gonna tell anyone and we aren't with the park. So he then tells us how he lost his permit, which is because a fish ate it. Yeah, I don't even know how. Yeah. He apologizes for freaking out, and we're on our way. Now, if you go fishing, the next fish you catch in its mouth is a camping permit. So now we can go return that to him, and now he's legally camping there. So he gives us more bait, since he says he's done with fishing for now. Honestly, don't blame him. So yeah, another fun little goofy interaction on this hike. Walking up to this viewfinder, we can see someone painting on a rock. On our way there, we find more chests and also just a golden feather just chilling on this rock that I somehow missed. Also, since we're right here, we can get our first achievement. Going up to the sign near Ranger John, it reads, "Did you know the infamous local dish strawberries and toast was invented here at Hawk Peak? Please join us at 5 p.m. to enjoy a delicious serving of the historical dish." So basically what we have to do is talk to Ranger John at 5 p.m. real time, like real human time. So it was just perfect timing that I was playing and it was like 4:46 or something like that. So while I waited, I got some more shells, dug up more money, and then it was 5 and I could talk to him. Okay, so apparently they're low on berries, like they're low on everything here, feathers, merch, like come on. But he says the fields were low this year, but he has plenty of toast. So we take a slice of toast, and then all we have to do is eat it, and boom, that's our first achievement, crispy. Eat a piece of toast. 1 achievement down, 11 more to go. Now that we've gotten that achievement, we can go to that rock where we saw the person on it, through the viewfinder. It's a raccoon painting. So we go up to them and ask what they're painting, and they say it's a coastline. They then tell us they're gonna head over to Blackwood Forest Lighthouse soon for more inspiration to paint. This person is really fun because they'll move around and we'll see them throughout the game and throughout our journey. It's also really fun to talk to them. Like every bit of dialogue in this game, I wish I could talk about, but you know, this video would be too long and nobody's trying to hear all that. That's why I suggest to just play the game and just read all the dialogue because it's all so fun and just well written and it's just fun. Once we leave them, there's a chest right at the top of the rock at the highest point, and we can grab that and continue walking around. And on the bridge, we see a dog, and we just ask them how their day is. It's just a normal conversation, and they say they're going to the top. We ask if they're going to like the top, Hawk Peak, and they say no, they're just hiking to Outlook Point, and that we should go there because the view is really nice. We tell them we'll meet them up there, because you know, it is kind of on our way, with the sign that he walks by that says Hawk Peak Trail, Good Creek Path, Blackwater Trail, and Royal Ridge. Going down Royal Ridge, there's actually like this cool little castle thing right here, and going to the top of it, we see a very special chest. It's shining, and it has a golden feather in it. So yeah, there's like shiny gold chests that have golden feathers in them, and yeah, it's nice. Going right over, we can dig up some stuff, and we find another little area with the house, with some little like power lines, and I guess there's a tractor, just a tractor here. I don't know how it got here, but hey, I really like this little area. I like the flowers, I like the tractor, I like how it looks. I just think it looks really nice. And at the top of this little building or like factory, whatever this is a pole with a bit of yellow tape on it, which we'll get to what that is later. The exploring in this game is generally so fun, just going wherever you want to go, and you'll just randomly stumble across chests, things to dig up, and characters that will give you things to do, and it's just fun stuff. I know it's nothing like groundbreaking, but this game somehow just does it in such a cool way. And going down here, don't mind that I skipped over a chest right here. I come back for that later, don't worry. I don't know how I didn't see that. A little more hiking up these wooden stairs, and we make it to Outlook Point, which is this cool little flyer tower. Boom. Would you look at that? Another chest with a golden feather in it. Another viewfinder to take in the view. And we see the lighthouse and everything else. And we also see our little raccoon friend down there by the lighthouse painting like they said they would be. And other things like a shiny rock and just the entire view. It's really fun to just look at this and kind of take it all in. Take in the whole world that you're exploring. So we're at the top and let's just start going back down. Because we saw some stuff to check out. Like that shiny rock. And basically all you do here is just go up to it and smack it a bunch with the shovel. And it will just keep giving you money until it runs out. You can get a lot of money off this thing. It's actually really nice. We can also head to the lighthouse and see our little raccoon friend, who is now painting the lighthouse. We say they've improved, saying that the painting is better than real life, but they don't know if it will fit their exhibit. They're trying to come up with something more interesting, so they're going to follow the rivers to the source. They have an idea for the painting from the perspective, so we asked them what river they're going to follow, and they said the west side of the mountain, it's up higher. With more exploring, I find one of these, which is actually something I need to bring up. If you see like a circle made of like rocks or bushes or something like that, just dig in the middle and you'll get a chest. So yeah, more ways to make money. We can start flying towards kind of where the raccoons said they'd be, just because we haven't really explored this area that much. And also on the way there, we can stop at the boat and open these 2 chests we didn't open before, which one of them contains a treasure map, which when opening it, it reads, "His vessel was lost on the water, with the beacon found and caught her. So he buried his trade at the end of its shade to keep safe from the lightkeeper's daughter." So we can get back to that later, because we know more stuff to collect is over here. Shells, chests, money, everything. And then going to this little area. This is the rainy area, which is, it's just like I said, it's always rainy. And also we finally get that 15 shell we needed, so we'll go back to there whenever, because I kind of didn't realize that and I just kept exploring. We're going through the rainy area, we find a graveyard, and yes, you can take out the shovel and dig up the graves, which bones will fly out and they will literally just stay here. It will stay here your entire playthrough unless you close the game and reopen it. But another thing with the graveyard is if we head up, we find a little bird right by the graveyard. Right next to the bird is another viewfinder, which looking through we can see a geyser and just a bunch of orange rocks, which is a big difference from the scenery we've seen before. Talking to the bird, we find out this is Avery. Basically what they do is they'll challenge you to a parkour race. We'll get a specific point to start from, and then we'll have an ending point. And we're also only allowed to use a certain amount of golden feathers. For example, for this race, we're only allowed to use 5 golden feathers. This is really fun because you can find the perfect path to be super fast and just destroy the competition. For the first race though, you kind of just follow her to just get the hang of it and figure out where you're supposed to be going. There's a lot of stuff we pass up on the way here. We pass up money, but overall the race ends at this abandoned little building. So now you know what that pole with the yellow tape is for. We can then do a rematch, which is basically like 100%ing it, because this is where we actually get like a prize. Before we do the rematch though, we can talk to her, and she tells us that she was actually supposed to register for the marathon race, but she missed it. So she tells us she just watched 2 hours of parkour videos instead, and now she wants to perfect it. Honestly, I respect it. That's sick. So we can do the rematch, and one thing is actually you want to lose the rematch, because if you get beaten, you actually get a walkie-talkie. So you can use this in the middle of a race to either call and give up, or say, hey, can we restart? So if you get lost or something, this is very helpful. So once we do the rematch, by hitting these beats umbrellas, that will just boing you up. It's super fun, super satisfying. You can get into like a rhythm. But once we get to the top before her, she congratulates us and gives us a medal. You can break this medal down for money, but I'd never do that just because I like having the medal. It's fun, and I'm not that desperate for money. But the funny part is that the medal is like just like a spray painted coin. But now that we've done the race, we can backtrack to all the stuff we flew over during the race. So money, chests, especially these picnic tables, which is like loaded with tons of money. There's a stick and a shell, and then going along the coast, we can see where those kids were playing whatever game this is. This is honestly a really fun little side thing to do. Talking to them, we ask, is this volleyball? And they say no. It's a new game they made up called Beat Stick Ball. And we also know these two. The red bird is called Julie, and the other kid, well, he never says his name. But it's cool how we talk to them, so there's a lot of wholesome interactions in this game. So we get taught the rules of this game. All you do is pick up a stick and use that to hit the ball back and forth. And this game has no losers, since the goal is to get a higher and higher score while working together, unless you pop the ball though, which you can't actually do in the game, but it's like, yeah, you would probably lose the game if you pop the ball. After that, we are told if we get 10 points, we get a prize, which we already got, and our prize is a golden feather. Now, if we play again and we get a score of 30 or higher, we get another prize. After hitting 30 points, the kid gives us all of his money, since we deserve it, for helping him beat his all-time score. And also, apparently his parents are rich, so it doesn't matter. So, you know, he's one of those kids. We also get the baseball cap he's wearing, which gives us another achievement. Remember this day forever, with the bird saying to take the hat, so we remember this moment forever. Hence the achievement's name. So that's more money, a golden feather, and another hat, and another achievement down. So yeah, this area is a score. After that, I decided to go fish at the graveyard, since there's some pretty good catches in this little area. I then decided to fly to the Orange Rock Island I saw, and this area is honestly one of the coolest. Walking over this bridge, we find a bucket with a sprout next to it. And filling the bucket up and dumping it on the sprout, it grows and it springs us up at like some kind of trampoline. There's 2 areas on this map you can find this bucket, and now that we have the bucket, we can start on our next achievement, which is finding and watering all the sprouts on the map, which you've probably seen these sprouts in a few shots. Reading the sign next to it, it gives us better context, reading, "The Helianthus dissultantis rubber flower, Hawk Peak Provincial Park's official flower. This unique species blooms instantly in flash flooding conditions, inflating like a water balloon. Experience it for yourself with one of the park's communal water buckets. All buckets are property of the park. Please do not remove buckets from the park." With Claire then saying, a bucket full of water seems heavy. I don't think I could fly or climb carrying a bucket full of water, but I could probably still glide. So that's the flower, and now that we know getting to more tricky flowers, we can't just fill up a bucket and spam golden feathers. We have to find a unique way to it. With this bucket, we can also start on another achievement where we put out every fire in the park, since we're very safe about fires. Putting out this one right by the flower, that's 1 down. Exploring this little area, there's actually a lot to do with a sign stating, "Welcome to the Orange Islands. Despite living in the shadow of Hawk Peak, this small cluster of islands had garnered a unique reputation of its own. Are you able to guess how these islands got their name? Gee, I don't know." With 2 options, and we picked the obvious one, and it reads, "It will probably surprise you, but the islands are named after the color of their rock." Well, no The sign then says the reason the rocks are orange is because of the iron oxide. Now you know. You've actually learned something today. I feel patronized somehow. I then talked to this kid lying on the ground, him saying he's dying of boredom and how he wants to ride the boat, but he's too young, and his dad can't take him out on the boat since he's working. So we buy a boat rental for 100 coins, which is super useful since we can now explore the whole ocean on the boat. We also get a boating manual which reads, A to accelerate, B to reverse, Y to dismount, and X to honk. Simple enough. With it also stating, if your boat becomes stuck due to improper boating conduct, do not panic. Although you may feel embarrassed, swallow your pride and ask for help from a boating veteran. I should be fine. We then ask the kid if he wants to join us on the boat, since he's been complaining about how he wants to go on the boat this whole time, and he obviously agrees, and then we're off. Driving this boat and zooming around this island and exploring is so fun, and offers a different playstyle since we now have a vehicle. We can find more money, rock circles to dig in, and then we can talk to the kid and he gives us an offer. He says he set up a sick boating challenge a few days ago, and his dad wouldn't let him try it, so he asks if we're down. So we agree, and the challenge is to finish the course in under 2 minutes. It's very simple and straightforward. Just go through the areas with the red flags and you're good. And then going through this one little part of rocks, we come up to a jump and... yeah, so we get some serious air, and after we land, we start the boat back up, and it sounds awful. Yeah, something's definitely wrong with this thing. The kid panics, but they're saying how we just need to look around and find someone who can take a look at it that isn't his dad. So who else than the pelican on the boat? He says he's got great knowledge on all boats and can take a look at it, and he fixes it up good as new. All he had to do was bend something back into shape. And just like that, crisis averted, and we are back on the water. More fun dialogue that didn't need to be added, but it was, and it just makes it feel so much more alive in this game. And now that we are back on the water, we are asked if we want to accept the water challenge again, except this time there's no jump. To also make it more of a challenge and to be more safe, every time you bump something too hard, you get penalty time. So drive fast and don't hit things. And this is also an achievement. If you finish this whole race in under 45 seconds, you get an achievement. With us beating the race, we get a heck yeah, but we just gotta lock in, and if we beat it in under 45 seconds, you get the achievement, not a scratch. And a cool beans from the kid. Another achievement down. And now with that over, we can use this boat to explore and see what's out here in the ocean. Like this little island where the ramp was, we find a chest with a treasure map in it. And reading it, it says, upon a stormy cliff top, one should pause to see the view. Peer through an earthy window, gold is hidden in the blue. So if you remember when we looked in the viewfinder, we saw this rock, and looking through it and digging to the center part, we get the treasure. And to double check, you can check the map to see if you found it, and it will tell you if you did. We also find more water flowers, find chests, and find this island with a geyser. And the bird here tells you how to glide and such, but we already know that. But it's fun to take this and fly up high. Doing so, we see a chest and a flower and another at the bottom of this rock wall. Going further out into the ocean, we actually stumble across an island, and if we go up to this sign, it reads, back to Hawk Peak Island. This is just like some random little island out in the middle of nowhere, but this is super fun to explore because we can find chests, and it's a fun little spiral up till you get to the top. But the scenery and all the little flowers and everything is really nice. You even come across this little house, which whoever's living here is chilling. Like, look at this sick spot. There's a chest right by it, and then we can just keep going up. Luckily, you can just spam the golden feathers to go up, but you also have to climb for some parts of it. And like I said, you actually need a lot of golden feathers to do this. This isn't just something you can just jump straight into. I barely had enough, but I did it. And once I made it to the top, I found a silver feather and another viewfinder, which we can take in an insane view from this island. We can even see Aunt May's house. And we can also see that there's a glowing gold chest at the top of the lighthouse that I missed. Well, I guess I know where I'll be going. We can also look and see what that silver feather, what it's for is, it's soft and lighter than air, and you can climb faster and fly higher. There's only 2 of these in the whole game, and this is actually probably the last one you're supposed to find. But now we can, well, like it says, climb faster and fly higher. And then from there, we can just jump off this entire island and fly down. One thing is that we got left. The boat left us. Yeah, you get too far from the boat, it despawns. So yeah, we're stranded out here. So luckily on my way back to get that boat, I came across this little island, which this is a really fun little island. Basically, it's just littered in trash. You can pick up a piece of trash, but first we can talk to the little deer right here. She tells us she just spent the past hour picking up garbage because it looks like someone threw a party and left half of it behind. So we tell her we can help get the rest of the trash. So just run around this island and pick up trash. It's not that hard. It's a very small little island. We can even see the little boat she got here with. There's also a circle that we can dig and get treasure. And once we pick up all 10 pieces of trash, we can talk to her. She tells us thank you, and then that's really it. But if we talk to her again, we compliment her sun hat, and she tells us that she made it herself. She tells us she's making a bunch for an upcoming craft fest, and that she'd sell us one for 100 coins. We say sure, and boom, we get a nice little sun hat. We were also her first customer apparently, so that's cool. And apparently this is the spot where she relaxes to make her hats in the first place. So another little fun side character we ran into, and now we have another nice little hat to wear. Making our way back to the Orange Islands, and what's actually cool is he tells us that he actually got bored waiting on the boat for us, and so he just drove back. And to not tell his dad, which honestly I probably should, because why would you just leave me, bro? But it doesn't matter, because the dad's too busy reading fiction. Zooming around the ocean more, fishing more, and just doing really whatever, because like I said, this boat is fun. Going back to the Pelican, over this time I've caught a few fish, so I decided to sell them, with some of them being albino and some of them me getting like 60 coins for them. One of them he gave me 8 coins, so like, bro, just give me bait at that point. But overall, I found a nice bit of rare fish, and we're that much closer to completing the journal. I then decided to park the boat and ditch it and get back to exploring the main island. I then stumbled across this random golden feather just chilling here right by the waterfall, so let's go. Now we got 9. I then headed straight to that lighthouse to get the golden chest I saw. Opening it, well, was of course another golden feather, and that gives us 10, which also gives us an achievement. Feather Finder. Collect 10 golden feathers. Boom, another simple achievement down, and now we have 10 feathers, so we can really go anywhere. We can also get another feather instantly if we just go to the shade right here of the lighthouse and dig, and we get the treasure chest, which gives us a golden feather. And once again, we can check to make sure if it's the one. That was the one that told us to go to the end of the Lightkeeper shade. Another thing is to get this sprout right here, right by the beach house, and then also filling up a bucket and taking it to the sprout we saw right by the lighthouse. I was on a roll at this point. At this point, I was just enjoying my time having this many feathers and just flying around and exploring and just seeing what was under me. I then remembered, oh, yeah, the shell girl. So then I went up to her and told her I got your shells. And apparently we don't get anything. Not even a thank you from her. She told us she didn't promise us anything, and yeah, I guess that's fair. She tells us she's got a new job/gig for us to do, and we accept it, not knowing what it is, but luckily it's very simple. She gives us a shell necklace, and she tells us to take it to Aunt May, or Ranger May, as she calls her. And that's all. Very simple and wholesome. We take it to her and we say we have a delivery from Jen. That's the girl's name, by the way. Aunt May says collecting all those shells must have been a lot of work. Yeah, if only she knew that it was us. She didn't do anything. She also tells us that she found a golden feather and figured we could use it. So yeah, that's another one. We're at 12 now. Another thing we can do is this campfire right here. We need to put that out. No campfires allowed, okay? We need that achievement. It is pretty hot out. I guess we don't really need a fire right now. Honestly, yeah, you don't need a fire. Why did Aunt May have a fire? Like, bro, it's so sunny and bright. There's also a sprout right next to the house that we can get. With me exploring even more right by the lake where we started fishing, I found another sprout and a fireplace. So I put the fireplace out, and then I found another sprout. So then I watered that sprout and then used that sprout to get to the other sprout. Yeah, that's one thing I like about finding these things and watering them is they're super satisfying. And then once I watered that one, I found a golden feather. It bounces you up to a golden feather that's just there. And then going to the left, this is the other spot where you can find that bucket and another sprout. This is one thing that is so nice about this game is the absolute rolls you can get on of finding stuff, getting feathers, meeting people, getting new items. It just feels so satisfying, dude. It's generally so nice. There's also another one of the boards right here, which we can look at, and it just says the same thing that the other one did. There's also a chest right by here to get more money. and just more money scattered around the area. We can go back down the mountain and find another sprout. Good thing I had that bucket ready to go. And then a sign right by Outlook Peak which reads Hawk Peak Trail, Good Creek Path, and Meteor Lake. Going across this, we can start to see that we're seeing snow. There's snow by us, and we're clearly getting higher. We then come across this big rock wall with a bird leaning up against it. We talk to them, and they ask us if we want to buy golden feathers off them. They'll do 100 coins per feather, which is like, bro, what is this? Inflation in shorthike. Are we serious? We tell them that that's overpriced and that the ranger sold them for 40, and he says to go buy them from there, but we can't because he was actually the one who bought them out. So we pay up and we get as many golden feathers as we can. We buy one before I asked what's this deal. He tells us the reason he's here is because he needs money for tuition this summer and he's trying to make some extra cash. We ask him how much he needs, and he says after he sells all of his junk, he'll still be short by about 400 coins. And this is one thing this game did that no other game has made me do. Even though I didn't have to, I didn't need to, I still clicked this option that says I want to pay for your tuition, and I gave him all the money I had. The first time I played this, I was sitting there going, wow, this game made me just give someone money for nothing in return. Like, what game does that? But this game made me actually want to just help someone out. So I gave him my money, and he actually does give you something. He gives you a wristwatch, and he even says, which is pretty funny, how he was just gonna sell it on the internet, which is what the goat didn't want. So it's a good thing we gave him all that money to get this watch back. So now we can go return that to the goat, but you're not expecting this. You're expecting to just give the money and that's it. Because after you do this, you still gotta buy feathers from him. So now we can do that. We can go return the wristwatch and go find more money to buy more feathers. He also, after this, actually does something else nice for us. He reduces the price down to 40 instead of 100. And because I had enough money, I was able to buy 2 feathers before I was absolutely broke with only 2 coins. So now we're up to 16 feathers. Before we head down there though, going to the left of where he's sitting, we can actually find our raccoon friend and a treasure chest. So more money. Perfect. Talking, they say the painting isn't working. They say the park is special to them, but they just can't seem to make something that can impress anyone, even though we're impressed. They wanted to leave an impression on someone though. They want to achieve something worthwhile. They then say they heard there's a graveyard in the shadow of the mountain, and they're gonna try that next. We asked why the graveyard, and they said they're not sure. They just want to try something different. I respect that. So we'll see them again at the graveyard. Going down this mountain, I actually stumbled across another chest. So now we have enough to get a golden feather when I head back up there. And I actually found myself right by the Orange Islands again. And right at the end of this bridge was another sprout I could water. I decided to just go to the graveyard and find the raccoon then, just because I wanted to keep talking to them and seeing what they were up to. So I flew down to the graveyard and found them right here on this little rock. Apparently they're painting in the rain, and it's not going too well, but they're trying. They say their exhibition is next week, and nothing has been working so far, but they got invited to show their work in the city. But everyone there is doing amazing work, and they don't know if they can keep up. We tell them their stuff is beautiful, but is it good enough for an event? They tell us there's a famous contemporary artist, Ian Artsworth, there, and he's the one who personally invited them to participate. He says that the paintings are going to fail to resonate with him, and that he's going to karate chop the artwork in half, because apparently he can do that, because he's also a black belt. I absolutely love the writing in this game. He says we're right though, and trying to paint here is useless. He says maybe I'll have better luck at Outlook Point. I did a little bit more fishing before I then found this little sprout up here, and obviously watered it. I then finally decided to head to the goat and give him his watch. And what's interesting about this is once we give him this watch, he gives us a silver feather. That's 2 silver feathers, and that's every silver feather in this game. So now we're at like peak. We got 16 golden feathers, and we can run faster and jump higher. I then decided to go to Outlook Point and find the raccoon again, which apparently this is their best work since we both like it. But it's not the one, with it apparently being very boring since everyone has painted Outlook Point. They say you're supposed to feel something when looking at it, but we do feel something since we live out in the city and it's fine and all, but it's missing this, and the painting captures it perfectly. They then say they're gonna head back to a new point, to the place where it all started, which if you remember was right by Ranger John. Flying back though, I ran across Avery again, who has another race for us. We're only allowed to use 3 golden feathers this time, and we're racing to the lighthouse, so first to touch it wins. This race is honestly really straightforward, and I've absolutely destroyed her. So now I went for the rematch, and once again, with me even messing up and accidentally hitting the viewfinder and getting stuck on it, it was a much closer race than last time, but I still won. We are called a speed demon, and we get the award. So I then headed back to Ranger John, and there was the raccoon painting by John. Is Ranger John gonna be in this painting, we asked? Yep, he agreed to be in this one. With this painting looking looking really good. They say how they're just gonna paint the things that they want to paint instead of painting the things they think others would want them to paint. And because we follow them around and listen to their story, we get a golden feather. And so that concludes this saga of this character. They figure out what they want to do, and they find what they want to paint, and are ready to show off their work. No achievement, no nothing. Just a good little side thing to make the game feel alive. So at this point, it's pretty much in-game. So it's just find more chests and money and sprouts, and also the campfires, which I remembered I forgot one right by Ranger John, and boom. That was the last campfire, and we get the achievement, only you can prevent campfires. Ranger John then says how, I guess it's good to be concerned about fire safety, but he had this one under control. So another achievement down, and now we're really in the end game. Watering more sprouts, even randomly finding other golden feathers, more fishing, finding money, watering sprouts, and rinse and repeat. Just more and more exploring, walking, covering every inch of this map, and finding all the items and secrets. Right above Avery at the graveyard area is another golden chest with a feather. So now we only need one more to get the full 20. And so I saved one for last, so I knew where to get it. The kid at the rock. So while I was getting other feathers, I got 40 plus coins, so I went and bought his last feather, therefore getting my 20th feather and getting the achievement. Feathers forever. So with that, we have found every feather on the map and can fly at peak height. All I was really doing now was finding all the last of the sprouts in this area of the map and finding other things along the way. With me somehow missing this sprout right by Ranger John and even selling my fish I got while searching so far. And I came across another treasure map and it reading The King's Throne. South of the stone tower across the river bridge, a lonely seat sits, crumbling upon the royal ridge. This one I just flew down to the river bridge like it said, and I flew over this rock that resembled a throne. And upon landing on it and digging, it was the right rock. And double checking the map to see if it's the right one, it reads that yes, this was the right one. More searching, selling fish, fishing for more fish. One fun thing when selling fish is if you catch a rare fish, he'll tell you a story about it and go on and make each catch feel really unique. I can't read them all, but just trust me. After doing that, I messed around to see how high I could go with all my feathers, and before you know it, I had found all I needed to at this level, and it was time to go to the wall where the kid was selling the feathers at. Reading the sign next to the wall, it reads, Hawk Peak Trail. At least 7 golden feathers are required to complete this hike. I think we'll manage. Novice hikers should consider using more. So does that make us like super novice hikers? And so after reading that, it's time to climb. Once you reach the top, you see the kids that you met at the beginning at the rock wall. And on your way up, you pass the squirrel. We walk to the rhino kid. He says it seems we've clearly gotten the hang of climbing, and then the squirrel yells, saying how he thinks he's stuck, and he's too high, and you can clearly see he's shaking. With the rhino shouting his name, with it being Tim, and the rhino's name is Alex. Tim has a breakdown, so Alex tells us to go ahead and continue our climb up. We are now so high up, we're in the snow, and our feathers will freeze when we use them, and to unfreeze them, we go into a hot spring or by a campfire. And by this campfire is a polar bear by the name of Charlie. Talking with him, he says he thinks we look a little unprepared, since it's mighty cold at the top. Claire then explains how it's so cold her feathers are freezing, and then Charlie explains how we fight the cold by going to a hot spring and all that. He also says to be safe, since he's the one who has to radio our aunts if we get into trouble. So from there, I found a rock circle to dig, and did more exploring around the mountain, until I came across this boarded up cave. If you use a pickaxe on it and break it, it's a shortcut, and you also have to break it at the bottom where it comes out. So I went down there and broke it, and now we have a fast, easy way to get to the top of the mountain. There's 2 of these on the map, but this is definitely the better one since it's such a far distance it takes us. And so with that, more chests, sprouts, loose money. I stumbled across another campfire. Flying around, I found another chest on the side of the mountain. I then decided to do some fishing in the hot springs, since there are some final fish I need that are in this area, in these waters, like the pink white bass, which is a legendary fish. I then used the shortcut to go back down and sell the fish and get the achievement before we go any higher. Selling the pink white bass, he's very ecstatic about it, and so at this point, I was missing only 1 fish before I had completed my journal. So I went to the beach side and caught the final fish, the bluegill, and once I sold it, that was it. He says it seems we've gotten all the fish from the journal, and how we really have a knack for this, and we get the achievement. The fish are biting today. Trade every species of fish. He then says he's got something that we might find useful, and that he can trust us with it, and that's a golden fishing rod, which rare fish are drawn to. So the catch rates with this are really good, and this makes fishing easily the best money making method. The rod was passed down from generations from his family, and he trusts us with it, and that it's made of pure gold. So yeah, don't lose it. And just like that, we have done it, and now we have a golden rod and another achievement down. So with this rod, we can now catch more rare fish and even special fish, and there are 2 that I was hunting for, which I luckily caught very quick, and that's the actually rainbow trout, which I even got my reaction when I caught it and the other fish. Oh, let's go, actually rainbow trout. We got it! I then made the dumb decision to sell it, which 80 coins is a lot, but I wanted to have all 3 of the rare fish in my inventory just to show off. So I then went to catch it again, and this took so long, like 10 times longer than the first catch, as you can see by this time lapse. And with all this selling, I mean, hey, at least I wasn't gonna run low on bait anytime soon. But luckily I did eventually get it again, and I was very happy about that because it took way too long. I then went and got another pink white bass, since I also sold the other one, but luckily this fish was super easy to catch again.
Well, that was easy.
And then there was 1 fish left, which is the golden catfish.
Oh, is that a golden catfish? Yeah!
And I had the trio of rare fish. This doesn't do anything, it's just cool to have, and I wanted to show off more how fun the fishing in this game is.
Look at that, bro. Look at that. You wish you had that. You wish you had that.
And so with that, we can return to the snowy top of the mountain since we are done with this area, and all the rest of the things we need to do are at the top. After collecting more money, it was time to find and water the last of the sprouts. There being one over here you have to fly to. There also being a rock over here that you can break with a pickaxe and it reveals a hot spring. So it's a kind of like emergency hot spring, I guess, if you get stuck here. I don't know. I then went through this ravine in the mountain. And once on the other side is a bridge, and on the other side of it is another sprout. And once you water that, it will bounce you up to another sprout. So I watered the top sprout first and saved the bottom one for last, with this bottom one being the final sprout. And so with that, we finally get the achievement, Green Thumb. Water every sprout. And so with that, that's the last achievement we get that you don't have to beat the game to get. And all that's left from here is to reach the top of Hawk Peak. Walking up and climbing, we run back into the fox from the start that wanted to take a picture at the top. They say how the bridge is collapsed ahead, so they're stuck, and how there might be another way up, or they could just go and collect more golden feathers. And we walk past, since we'll get back to that, since that's one of the things you do after you've made it to the top. Jumping the gap and going up, one last climb, we see a hot spring, the music quiets down, and we approach the top of Hawk Peak. Sit down and take in the view when all of a sudden we get a phone call. We have reception. We answer and it's our mom, and we have a conversation with her. Cell phone reception! Hello?
Hi, Claire.
Mom? I'm so glad to hear from you. I've been waiting all day to hear from you. I've been worried.
Oh, honey. I told you I'd be fine.
Yeah. But you always say that.
And I always am. Anyway, how have you been?
Well, I'm at the top of Hawk Peak right now.
Ooh. Wow. I love it up there. May and I used to go up every summer together. It's about time you made it up.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you're so big now. My little girl's leaving the nest. You don't have any need for a rural mom.
But I do need you. I'll never not need you. When I heard about the surgery, how come you never told me this was a thing?
I didn't want you to worry.
But
I know you can get worked up about things.
I could have been there for you. You're all alone there now.
Really, it was nothing. Everything was fine.
I'm just glad you're okay. I love you, Mom.
I love you too.
Wait. Something's happening.
Was that the famous Hawk Peak updraft?
Looks like it.
You should catch a ride on it now, before it fizzles out.
I wanna, but I'm kinda nervous.
Claire, you can do it. I'll come visit you soon, okay? Also, don't forget to say hi to Aunt May for me. She's probably waiting for you back at the cottage. Bye. Love you.
Love you too, Mom. And that's the ending of A Short Hike. And real quick, let's do those last achievements while we glide down. We got the ending achievement, Hawk Peak. Make it to the top of the mountain. And before we can get the other achievements, one fun thing is if you go back to the campfire where Charlie was, him and the rock climbing kids are there. They talk and ask us if we got up safely, with us saying we barely made it. Alex says how they'll make it to the top some other day, since they're at their limit. With Tim actually speaking in lowercase for once, about Charlie's book he's writing. There's a lot of really fun writing and dialogue in these conversations. Alex then says, let's hike up to the top tomorrow, and how we can show the way. And so after that, I went up a little further back to the Fox. They say they're stuck, and they don't have enough golden feathers to make it. And we say we can lend them some, with them needing 6 feathers. So we hand them over, and the Fox goes off. It's funny to watch them go, and it not being like a loading screen or something, with them actually walking. Until we make it to the top, and they say strike a pose. So we do that, the photo is taken, and the achievement is granted. Photo friends, get your photo taken. And we tell them to email us the photo, and even gives us back our 6 feathers. So win-win. And then they say they're gonna stay up here, and don't know when they'll head back down, since they want to soak it all in. And the last place I needed to go was back at Ranger John's cabin to meet up with Avery for one last race, with this one being to the top, and us being able to use 9 feathers for this race. This is easily the most fun and intense race, since it's from the very bottom all the way to the top of the map. But even with me messing up, I still managed to make it by going over to this other area and flying over to the top. I was apparently really far ahead, because she took her sweet time, and finally she arrived and I got the achievement. Parkour Master, beat each parkour race once. She then gives us our final medal, and from there I decided to do the rematch, because why not? But Avery was just like not parkouring. Once I made it to the top, her little head icon would disappear and would watch as she horribly failed to make the jump across the gap, and then just slide all the way back down and the race just ends. I did this again and the same thing happened, and it's just honestly funny. So I gave up and headed back down. And that's the game almost 100%, with one last achievement left. But before we get that, I just wanted to say some final things about this game. This was a blast to play, since I've played and 100% of this game 2 times now, with its fun writing, gameplay, and more. I didn't even get a chance to talk about the music and how it works, and how it gets you immersed, and it gets you to remember each area with its music. There's a great video by Scruffy, which does a great job and better than I could explain, and to avoid this video getting any longer, I'll have it linked in the description, and if you're still curious after this video, I'd give it a watch. It's a really nice chill video. And all the little details of the game, like how at the beginning there are multiple shovels to make sure you'll never miss this area, and how you can change the ribbon color of this girl's hat by paying more money. There's also one last treasure map, with this one being different, and how you have to wait for the white dog to actually go to Outlook Point, and once you meet him up there, he gives you the treasure map, and the treasure is on Side Beach, where the climbing wall is. And also how this game got 2 April Fool's updates, which one of them put the text of the game through Google Translate over and over, and the other one being A Short Hike 99, which made the game multiplayer where 99 other players could join, which is honestly sick and I wish was a permanent mode in the game. Now the games have scores that you can compete in, and how this game is great for speedrunning, and other nice details. There's a lot I could go into, but I want to stop it here, and with that, we can get the final achievement. We go back to the cabin and talk to Aunt May, saying what we did, and then we go into the cabin because we've hiked all day and we need a nice long nap. And we open the door, close it, and we get the final achievement. The end. Take a nice long nap. And with that, the credits roll, and we have officially gone on a short hike. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.